Alright. Welcome to Sideboard MTG. My name's Eric, and it's time for our live spoilers for Ravnica Allegiance. It is 1/8/2019, so we're going to be looking at everything that has come out in the past 24 hours. I'll go over some of the ones that came out last night, even though we covered those kind of towards the end, but there's only 3 of them, so no real big deal there. We did get a name fix on our salamander, so a lot of fun. We got to fix that. But I'm planning on having a lot of fun with that salamander. We will be talking about some Wizard sponsored content, so there's an advertisement for Wizard sponsored content in this video at some point. But other than that, we're going to get into some spoilers. Hope you guys like the show. If you do, don't forget to give it that thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, subscribe to the content. Alright, so let's jump over and talk about some spoilers. What's up, everyone? I guess I should start with last night's cards. We were talking about Salamander Drake here and how it was a creature type Salamander Drake and its name was Salamander Drake. Apparently they're saying that or according to this, the name of it is actually Terramander. So like if we click the card and we actually take a look at it for show text. Waiting on it. Thank you. So if we actually show text, it says it's a Terramander, which is creature type Salamander Drake. The music may still be a little too loud right there. You know what? We're talking. I'm talking. Let's just kill the music. Okay, so Terramander, this is a 1-mana 1/1 that if you have 7 instants or sorceries in your graveyard is technically a 2-mana 5/5 because you can activate the Adapt 4 ability on it and it does get cheaper for instants and sorceries in your graveyard. Late game, this being a 2-mana 5/5 is not bad at all. It's a pretty cool card. I'm looking forward to playing with it. And then as far as the The rest of the cards, I don't think there were any other changes to wording or anything like that, or to the names. We will, I will check and keep you guys informed based on as I find this information out. So the only other cards that came out, I guess there's really nothing else that we should talk about. We'll just start with Warden. Warrant and Warden, one of the neckbreaker cards from last night. Put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. We spoke about this. It does time walk your opponent. They spent mana to cast that creature. Not only are you going to make them have to spend that mana again, but you're also going to stifle their next draw step by making them have to redraw this creature. It's a really powerful effect, and at instant speed, that's not bad at all. And then we have the other side of this, Warden. Create a 4/4 white and blue Sphinx creature token with flying and vigilance. Not bad, not a bad card. I mean, once you're already winning, then maybe you want a way to close the game out. So just a good tempo card there. Jareth Miles said it perfectly. Typically tempo. Speaking of which, I do want to point out that I do not have chat on screen for this, and you guys will hear me talk about chat or talk to chat a lot tonight for the spoiler videos and all of our spoiler videos, as we're doing those live. On YouTube, there is a chat button. You can bring chat up on your screen, or you can actually pull the chat up on your phone. So I figured there was no point in wasting additional screen space when on YouTube you guys can pull up chat. If you want to read it, you can. If you don't want to read it, then you don't have to. So you guys let me know in the comments whether or not you actually like that, or if you're here and live and in chat right now, then you probably have chat pulled up and you can read it anyway. So again, let me know. We're gonna move on to the Senate Guildgate. This card's pretty sweet. The Azorius, you get to, it's got 2 1-mana abilities on it. That's pretty cheap. Like, just 1 mana abilities is great. We get 1 blue mana to loot, so we get to draw a card, then discard a card from our hand. This just helps us, fix our hand. And then if we need life, we could actually just pay 1 white and tap this to gain 2 life. Not bad. This actually looks like it might be, fringe playable if you needed that loot effect that bad. But in all, I don't really see this Guild Mage getting much more play than any of the others. And then moving on up. Now, this was one of the big cards for me today. I was really happy to see this card. This is Thrash Threat. Now, the Thrash side of this is Gruul colors, so it's Gruul hybrid mana. You can use green or red to produce either of the two, but you will need, green, red, or green, red to cast it. Now, it is instant speed, and the wording on this is terrific. Okay, so target creature you control deals damage equal to its power, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Instant speed, you can make your guy kill their planeswalker. You can do that in response to a kill spell. You can do it at the end of their turn. You can do it pretty much whenever you want. It's instant speed. You can put it on the stack. So not bad. I kind of like the idea of this. Now, as far as removal goes, if they can remove that creature, I believe the creature will still check. I think it will still check its last known game state. So unless you can give it neg1s until end of turn or period, then it's going to check its last known board state. So once you put it on the stack, you've already targeted. To be able to put it on the stack, you've already chosen your targets on this one. I don't think that removing it is going to do much good, unless again you give it neg1s and remove it that way. But as far as the second half of this goes, it's just a 4-mana sorcery that will give you a Domri Raid Beast, which is a 4/4 green and red beast creature token with trample. Now we got used to the dinosaurs and the Ixalan set, that dinosaurs were just naturally 3/3 dinosaurs with trample. Domri Raid's going to be producing our red green 4/4 beast with trample. So just a step above those dinosaurs. So, Beast get your red green beast tokens, right? Like when the set comes, you gotta be able to get a hold of a nice beast token. So this card is very good, says James. Yes, I think this card is extremely good. It does give mono green some ways to deal with, Teferi and things of that nature. So I like that. I like the fact that we have some way to do that. That card is very good. At minimum, it's Rabid Bite at instant speed. Exactly. And isn't that one of the things we always kind of like griped about? Most of the fight cards, we needed them at instant speed. And this one's instant speed. And technically, like if you're just killing another creature, you can kill a Death Touch creature or something like that. And your creature doesn't die because they're not actually fighting. Which also means that if you kill a lifelink creature, they're not going to gain life either. So, but yes, it will help you attack planeswalkers as well. So, not bad. I am curious, if you mission briefing back into this, can you cast the sorcery side of it like we were able to with Torrential Gearhulk? I think that you should be able to. So mission briefing back into some of these sorcery speed split cards, like, does that do anything for us? It's the reason you move to Jund Dinosaurs to deal with Teferi. What's up, Rush? Well, all in all, I think the card's really good. I don't see anything just broken about it. I think the card is good, and I think that it will see play. As far as, some of the other split cards, this is up there with the better ones. So now you just nib them out, right? You just cast... Okay, you just use double red. Don't even worry about the green, and you use this in nib, and you just make nib fight something, and you cast a spell, so you draw a card, that sort of thing. Seems great. All right, so Benthic Biomancer. I guess this comes with the Cthulhu, or sorry, not Cthulhu, the octopus from the other night. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on Benthic Biomancer, draw a card, then discard a card. So it's a 1-mana Merfolk Wizard Mutant, 1/1, and has Adapt 1 as an ability. So we can put 1/1 counter on it to loot for 2 mana, which isn't bad. I know, James. I was just talking to Jareth there. He was saying play it with Niv. This card's actually really good, guys. So in your mono blue Wizards deck, this is a good piece of tech. First off, it's a 1-mana wizard, which opens up your Wizard's Retort on turn 2. And it's a perfect creature that on turn 2, if you're going to have to counter one of their creatures, you get to use the new Essence Scatter, which if you counter a creature, you get to put a +1/1 counter on something. And then if they don't make you have to use your Wizard's Retort or your Essence Capture, then at end of turn, you get to put a +1/1 counter on this anyway with its adaptability. And that all plays at instant speed. It works really well. I like the idea of this card. I like everything that it kind of implies for the mono blue Wizards deck, which really needs to get a creature down on turn 1. This will give us another turn 1 wizard, and that alone is very powerful. Like just opening up Wizard's Retort as a playable option on turn 2 is extremely powerful, and most of the time we can only do that. Well, not most of the time. We can only do that right now with Siren Storm Tamer. So having an extra, creature around is going to be absolutely terrific. However, this guy doesn't have any type of evasion other than just being a good place to stack those 1/1 counters and things of that nature. He doesn't have a lot of evasion. But later in the game, you can easily just pay 3 for a 2/2. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. 3 for a 2/2 that lets you loot. So we'll see if the card actually gets played. But I kind of like the idea of this particular card. So it's kind of like get to Lava Runner and Wizard's Lightning. Or Lavamancer and then Wizard's Lightning. Correct. Like you need that turn 1. Like there's not a lot of turn 1s that you can have. But as far as Wizard's Lightning goes, like this is, or Sarge Wizard's retort goes, this is also a perfect turn 3 play, because it doesn't actually cost you any mana if you're trying to hold up Wizard's retort, because you can play this and then you'll get that discount off of Wizard's retort. However, at that point, you do have to be prepared to counter whatever they're going to cast that could target this. So again, it plays in line with the Essence Capture and Wizard's Retort. I really like this card. I think this is a really good one drop, and we'll probably see quite a bit out of it, especially if the mono blue decks do get to stick around. So Benthic Biomancer, remember the name. All right, Awaken the Erstwhile. That's probably not how you say that, but Awaken the Erstwhile here. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. 5 mana sorcery speed. Each player discards all the cards in their hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Okay. So first impression, I just want to say this is junk. And then I'm sure there's some way to break it. Most of the time when something is just absolutely horrible on the surface, there's some broken combo behind it or something of that nature. So each player discards all the cards in their hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Now, if like maybe we're playing Arena and we've drawn 9 lands in a row and you've got nothing but lands, but your opponent was just playing their lands out and they've only got 2 cards, and you cast this, they get 2 zombies and you get a grip. That would be interesting. I can't find any consistency to a play like that. As far as paper play goes, I just don't. It's so rare that you actually hit those. It's for Dredge. 5 mana for Dredge. Like, we really want to discard all the cards in our hand that bad. One with Nothing seems like an interesting card, and people have been trying to break it for years, but it's just not a good card. I don't think this is a fun card. I don't think not being able to play with your cards is very fun. McFats, it is a neat card. Yeah, I will say that. It is neat. We're both going to discard our hands. We're going to live off the top deck. You know, that sort of thing. Omniscience, Overwhelming Insight, get a bunch of zombies. If I've got Omniscience on the battlefield and then I'm going to draw 7 cards, I can find something better to do than discard the other 6 of them to make 6 zombies. Like, I think that I could. I think that I can find a better thing to do for 5 mana, than make 6 zombies, like than to set that situation up. But anyway, Jumpstart works perfect with this card. Okay, so we throw a bunch of Jumpstart cards away, and then now we have no cards left in hand to Jumpstart with. So we're still only living off of the top deck, and if we don't like the top deck, we can pitch that away for one of our Jumpstart cards. Again, I don't like this card. Wonder if we could take all the tokens with Crafty Cut Purse. Okay, so play Crafty Cut Purse, then play this. Yeah, we'll allow it. We'll allow it. It's not even one-sided. No, it's not one-sided. Both people are getting the tokens. So Crafty Cut Purse would be pretty good, I guess. If you could cast that, then you can make everyone. So works great with Profanos. Perfanos. Good old Perfanos. Either way, this is a card that is going to be in Standard. It's something that I'm sure people are going to play around with. Good luck to you. If you find a way to break this, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear how you could break Awaken the Erstwhile. So next we're going to move to a card that I know a lot of you are excited about. This is Angel of Grace. That's right, guys. We got a new 5 mana instant speed Angel. It ain't Avacyn. All right, we're just going to go ahead and say that. This is not Avacyn. but she could save you nonetheless. Let's read. Let's find out what her abilities are. So, 5 mana, so double white and 3 for a flash flying 5/4 that has some more text. When Angel of Grace enters the battlefield, until end of turn, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Okay, so they're swinging in for that big alpha swing. You get to, flash this in, chump block something, or flash this in and get her killed because she's got another ability that might make that interesting. But you get to flash this in, either get her killed or, chump block something, and then maybe go on the aggressive on the backswing and possibly kill them. However, that second ability there, exile Angel of Grace from your graveyard, your life total becomes 10. So they reduce you to 1, you lose your Angel of Grace, you happen to put enough bodies in front of their Carnage Tyrant or something like that. They're no longer having a good board state. And then you just pay 6 mana and go back to 10 life total. We're back in it. You're able to rock and roll. Also, that 6 mana part there, that can be done at instant speed, so she plays at instant speed very, very well. It reminds me of the type of play you would want to see in the blue-white historic deck that kind of popped up towards the when Teferi and Merfolk Trickster and Karn and all those cards were getting played, there was a lot of Wrath Compassion decks. People were playing this blue-white historic deck while we still had the lands, and then once the lands rotated out, people kind of backed off of that. This is the perfect card to fit in that type of archetype, where you're wanting blue-white flash archetype, where you're trying to play things at instant speed. You're wanting to play instant speed spells as much as possible. And this would fit in that really, really well. But the number of decks this is going to fit in is going to be absolutely huge. I think this is a really, really good good card. And I'm definitely interested in trying the blue-white flash deck again, just because of seeing this card. But I'm not saying that that's the only place that you're going to be able to put this card. It's going to be very, very good in pretty much anything with double white. Just because, even if you're a control deck, you want the flash ability, things like that. It's also going to be very aggressive, where you can flash this in at the end of turn. They weren't swinging, and now you have a 5/4 beater coming at them. So, yeah. 10 life gain? Yeah. Naya Unsealing, says Rush. Rush is like, I cast this at instant speed. I get my Unsealing trigger. We deal 4 damage to something. I block the little 3/3. There went their Regisaur Alpha. Good times. Good times all over, right? So, all in all, I think the card is really, really good, guys. If you have some other way to break this, again, leave in the comments or let us know here in chat. Be happy to have people join in. Grounded, yeah, it's a 10 life, 9-point life game, because you're never going to be at 0, and it's always just going to take you back to 10. But like your life total becomes 10, so it's never going to be more than 9 points of life gain, unless you got like Phyrexian Unlife or something like that going on. But yeah, that's not bad. I think the card's great. Let's move on to the Orzhov split card that was spoiled. This is the Orzhov rare, and it's a sorcery speed on both sides. So for Orzhov hybrid mana, we get to return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from our graveyard straight to the battlefield. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. That's pretty powerful. So for 2 mana, you get a 3-drop. Okay. That's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Like, that is very interesting to me. I mean, you get a cheaper version of a card that you've already played or something like that. Aristocrat incoming, just saying. Yeah, there you go. So you can get your Judith back or something like that for 2 mana. And it's very, very flexible. So yeah. What did I think of Benthic Pyromancer? I think the card's really good, and I think it's a perfect spot to catch counters from your Essence Capture in the mono blue decks. It's a wizard and plays really well there. Opens up Wizard's Retort and so on and so forth. So, Revenge here, the other side of this, double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So 6 mana sorcery, we get to double our life total, and our opponent loses half their life. That's pretty big. Dylan Thomas, thank you for subscribing. All right, so let's what's the best thing you can bring back for 3 mana here? I mean, technically you could run this in double black. You could run this in a deck that had no white in it whatsoever, just for this half of the spell, and that would still be fine. So, I mean, you're looking at black, bring back Plague Crafter. Bring back, I mean, that alone's pretty good, right? Yeah, okay, there's chat. Plague Crafter. Bring back Plague Crafter. You can get back, the Bugler. There you go. Jadelight Ranger. Any of these things, that would be absolutely great. And it's bringing it straight back to the battlefield, so it'll go ahead and cast it for you and everything. That's absolutely terrific. Now, as far as the back half of this goes, I think that's just kind of extra. Tajik. That's right, because you could play this in Mardu. Oh my goodness, you get to bring back Legion Warboss in your Mardu tokens build. Adanto? I figure if they were able to kill Adanto, then they exiled it. But yes, I mean, that's definitely on the list. Just some really good cards. Your Benelish Marshal. Benelish Marshal could be easier to play if you had a way to get him in the graveyard in the first place. It's interesting. Elvish Rejuvenator. There's a ton of good hits. Especially out of all of the new cards. You could get back, a Hackrobat, or, something like that. The new Sack Outlet, which is something they're going to be trying to kill. Resplendent Angel. Resplendent Angel probably works great in this because you're going to double your life total with the back half of it. If they kill the Resplendent Angel, you can get Resplendent Angel back. As long as you have more than 5 life and you double your life total, that counts as life gain. That will mean that you gained more than 5 life that turn. So both half of this works really well with Resplendent Angel. Remorseful Cleric, yeah, I mean, again, any 2-drop or 3-drop would work. I don't think that we're getting a ton of value for getting 2-drops back, but you really do start to get that extra value when you're bringing back 3-drops for 2 mana. So yeah, and then when you're making 3-drops like Benelish Marshal, easier to cast, Midnight Reaper, right? All of there's great cards that we can play around with this. So, I mean, most of Magic's played under 3 converted mana cost anyway, so it brings back like pretty much everything, right? All right, that's Revival Revenge. Next, we're going to move to Windstorm Drake. It's a 5 mana 3/3 Drake, and other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So this is half of your enchantment, your favorable winds enchantment, right? So technically, if you had a favorable winds down and you had this, creatures would be getting +2/+1 if they had flying. Now it's only other creatures, so he's not going to buff himself. And it is a 5 mana buff. I think this would have been better suited as a 4 mana card. Might have been a little bit broken as a 4 mana 3/3 with the ability, but I think it would have been better suited there. I do want to skip to the other card here. There we go. Spirit of the Spires. Now this is a spirit. It's not a Drake, but other creatures you control with flying get +0/+1, and it's a 2/4. So this is a spirit. It does fit in with the spirits deck, but if you guys remember, we used to have warriors. We had Chief of the Blade and Chief of the Edge and Chief of the Scale, I think were their name. I want to say Blade and Shield, but with that, this kind of is reminiscent of those cards, not just for spirits, but just for creatures and flying with flying in general. And they're both a little pricey. The one that gives the more aggression is 5 mana, whereas this one's only 4 mana. That makes this one slightly better for play. But again, I don't really know if any of them will get play. If you're worried about your spirits running into a lot of, like, if you're just worried about spirits decks, then you're probably just wanting to be in blue in the first place. And at that point, you're getting away with favorable wins, and you're getting away with um, Supreme Phantasm, I believe it is the Spirit Lord. So yeah, there's a couple options there for spirits. However, this is for all creatures with flying. So anyway, let's get back to Ethereal Absolution. So it really looks like Kaya is trying to take down the Orzhov guild, right? We got to see in Kaya's Wrath, she's destroying the Obsidat. And then in this creature, or in this one, Time to Let the Dead Be Dead, she's releasing all of the souls, that the Orzhov have stored or gotten possession of, with the afterlife. Even their souls go into service. Well, she's releasing the souls here, and let's see how she's doing that here. So 6 mana enchantment, but it's kind of like this baby Elish Norn. Yeah, okay, essentially Elish Norn Jr. All right, I got you. You get creatures you control get +1/+1. Creatures your opponent control get -1/-1. Now, we had Curse of Holding, I believe it was, which was a curse. Enchanted player creatures they control got -1/-1. We had Elish Norn in the past, where creatures we controlled got +2/+2, and our opponent's creatures got -2/-2. These are back-breaking effects against certain decks. This is definitely something that I would love to bring in against a March of the Multitudes deck or something of that nature. It's going to be really good if you can get it out. The problem is with a lot of the aggressive decks where this would be really good, you're going to need some way to stabilize until you can get to 6 mana and get this off. Once you get to 6 mana and you can actually fire this off, and you get the enchantment on the battlefield, your spirits, things like that, will become 2/2s, whereas your opponent's spirits and even small guys will just cease to exist. So that is pretty cool. I will say this, do remember, if you have these down and you have some type of trigger on the battlefield, maybe you're playing this with, we'll say, a Blood Artist type effect. I think Blood Artist may be non-token creature, but if you have some type of effect where whenever a creature dies, do remember that those afterlife spirits and lingering souls, if you will, when they enter the battlefield, then state-based checks will check their power and toughness, and then they will die. They still will enter the battlefield. They still will die. So you're not just like negating them altogether. They're still going to have the opportunity to trigger different effects. So you haven't played Arena yet, just game ones. Yes, Arena is mainly best of one, which kind of like just null and voids any talk of sideboard. I really like this in the sideboard versus a lot of decks. The Esper control decks and things like that, especially if you're going to go with that like Dawn of Hope strategy, your tokens are automatically 2/2s. Their tokens don't exist. They can't Adanto Vanguard their way out of things anymore. As long as you can kill Benelish Marshals, then everything's just going to be super, super gravy. You played like 23 games in an hour last night. Wow, cranking them out. Abzan tokens. Yeah, I could see this. Definitely, if you're in a tokens build, then this is a really good card for you. I don't know how much better it'll be than something like Immortal Sun, which will also allow you to draw cards. But there is another ability on this that I didn't read. We do get to pay 1 black, 1 white, and 2 colorless. Exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. If it was a creature card, then we created 1/1 spirit, black white spirit creature token with flying. So it has the ability to put creatures on the battlefield by itself. So a lot going on for this card. I just really hate that it's 6 mana. That's going to make it really hard to cast. And 6 mana is kind of like when you're playing your 6 mana spells, you really expect those to be able to deal with the entire game. Yeah, in something like an Esper control deck, this could be all the win con you need. Maybe this, maybe a copy of Dawn of Hope, something like that. Most of the time, you're not wanting to play Dawn of Hope really early anyway. You're wanting to get into that late, so it could reduce the number of Dawn of Hope copies that you need to have. Once you get this and a Dawn of Hope, things pretty much just it's all downhill from there. Could be a good sideboard card against mirror matches and Abzan tokens. It's going to be a thing. Everybody keeps talking about it everywhere. I don't know about Abzan tokens, but I'm really interested in Mardu tokens, and this fits in right there. Abzan tokens probably has all the tools necessary to be a really, really good deck. I mean, I get it. You get March of the Multitudes, and you get to run Kaya's Wrath. So, yeah, I mean, Abzan tokens or Mardu tokens are both going to be really good. I'm more interested in the red for like Judith and see if I can go some type of aristocrats build or something like that. But Watley is still a card. You can see Abzan. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think that a lot of people will be playing Watley, as most people see that as just a win more card. So, for that being said, a lot of these cards may not get play on the professional level. So, Azorius Skyguard. The only thing I see about this card that's got anything really going for it is the fact that it is a knight. All right, we've got a 6 mana 3/3, and creatures our opponent control get -1/-0. Bum, bum, bum. That's it. It's just a flying first strike 3/3. Yeah, I like some flying first strike 3/3s. I do. I just don't really know if I like paying 6 mana to have them. The fact that it's a human knight and creatures our opponent control get a little bit smaller, that's all well and good. That's swell, but I don't really know if this is the kind of card I'm looking for. What's up, Barry? Good evening. Good evening, all. It's been a heck of a year so far. I'm glad to be here with you. Well, we're glad to have you, Barry. Thanks for showing up. We're just talking about some spoilers. I'm trying to stay on top of the spoilers this season. I have tried to get into spoilers for like the past 3 seasons. I always hated spoilers, but I'll say this: hanging out with chat and talking to you guys about them as they're coming out every day, that makes it a lot more fun, and I could get into that. But as far as just like, okay, here's the spoilers. Let's spew this up and go with that. Like I never really liked spoilers, so you guys have definitely made spoilers a lot more fun for me. So I do appreciate that. Now we get pumped and hyped together. Yay! Yay! Hype. Love me some hype. Speaking of hype, there's none here. There's just no hype to this card. 6 mana for a 3/3. I just don't think I can get behind it. All right, next here we have Arresters. What? Admonition? Arresters, what? 3 mana, return target creature to its owner's hand. It's got addendum. And if you cast it during your main phase, you get to draw a card. So if you cast it at non-instant speed, so you cast it as a sorcery, we get a 3 mana blink of an eye. I don't know. I don't know if I like this one or not. I think Blink might just be better, being more versatile, being able to play it, a 4-drop and a 2-drop in the same turn, being able to play, a counter spell for 2 mana and then being able to cast Blink of an Eye. Or if you didn't have to counter spell, then you cast Blink of an Eye and draw the additional card. I think you get more flexibility with Blink of an Eye. I like the addendum part of this, but Admotion? Admotion? Admonition? Admonition? Admonition. Arrester's admonition. I don't know that word. I do not know that word. Anyway, law is the voice of reason. Very well. Very well. Uh, where I'm from, people with mohawks and tattoos aren't really the enforcers of law. But, I don't know. Moving on. Did we talked about the Spirit of Spires? We've got Flameblade Artist here. This is an interesting little card. It's a Rakdos colors, one red, one black for a 2/2. So again, passing the vanilla test. Human Shaman with haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, it'll deal 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker for you. So you get to sacrifice. Thanks, Barry. You get to sacrifice a creature at the beginning of your upkeep, and if you have multiple copies of this, you'll get multiple triggers, and you'll be able to sacrifice multiple creatures at the beginning of your upkeep. Now, it is a free sack outlet, but it is timed, so they do have a lot of time to react to this one. But it's a it's a pretty metal art. Yeah, he. Rakdos is very demonic. They definitely kept with the theme of the carnival. I kind of want to say like dark carnival, but it just reminds me of a friend in high school that was a member of the Hatchet Army, ICP. Yay! Oh, poor guy. Anyway, there's still some ICP lovers out there that are like, "What do you mean, poor guy?" Well, there's a lot more to that story, but we'll get into that at some other point. It seems like Aristocrats is a four-color brew in your opinion, four-color blood in your opinion brew. Demonic. Huh? What gave you that clue? Maybe all the demons. You like this one? Free sack outlet every turn. I think so. I think this is a legit card. So just wait until they spoil the clown cards. Oh yes, where are the clowns for this dark carnival? The dark carnival that is Rakdos. It's a pretty good card, guys. I mean, even if you're just sacking, one of your afterlife creatures so that you can create some more tokens so that you can do other things. If this will deal 2 damage to your opponent or planeswalker, and you have a Judith on the battlefield, you're also going to be able to get that additional point of damage that might be able to reach out and ping a creature, ping that planeswalker, ping them. That's any target on Judith. So there's going to be some play there. I really like where the Rakdos Aristocrats thing is starting to come out. Yes. I definitely need to mention that it can trigger Spectacle as well. So it also has haste, so you could just play it for 2 mana, crack in for 2 damage, and you just got in there with haste to trigger Spectacle. There's a lot of really sweet ways to trigger Spectacle. So I like the card. Jason with the tech call out, right? There you go, Jason. Yeah, this plus Judith, best friends forever, right? Imagine this with Judith and the Skeleton Warrior, right? Or reassembling Skeleton. There's a ton of play here, ton of play. So thank you, Jason, for Spectacle like that. We definitely got to keep in mind that, okay, so I sack this creature and I get, let's say, Afterlife 1 or 2 off of sacking it. I get my Judith trigger, and now I can Thoughtseize for 1 mana. Like there's a ton of play. Like we'll have to see where this Spectacle deck or Aristocrats deck truly ends up, but we're starting to get more and more pieces for it, which that's promising. That's promising that the Rakdos will have a solid archetype, and I was beginning to wonder because it's really clear that all the other decks are there and in construction. There's the +1/1 counter decks. We were talking about how those decks might have multiple copies or multiple building strategies. Like you might want to build around adept, whereas there may be another strategy where you want to build around playing a ton of creatures and then giving all of those creatures +1/+1 counters, and then kind of collecting all of those up and dumping other +1/+1 counters on. Which that deck probably wants creatures that just naturally have +1/+1 counters on them anyway, not necessarily adept. So like all of those decks are coming together for Simic. We're starting to, see the Azorius builds take form. We knew that the Azorius control builds just kind of laying there waiting on the 4 pieces of or the 4 lands to be added to the deck. Those decks are just kind of laying in wait anyway, but now we're starting to see the Azorius guild get those tempo cards and Thopters and things. Looks like there's going to be some type of Azorius flying deck, maybe favorable winds or wizards or something like that, which I'm game for. I think that all of those all of these archetypes need to be in standard, so that you just have more characters on your selection screen. Okay, I want to go build in these colors, what are my options? It looks like all the cards line up to build this deck, and then you get to put your masterpiece together of how you would build that archetype. If we're looking at these things in the form of Arena, again, I like to look at Arena like a video game, not so much as like Magic the Gathering, where you have all of these decks and you select a deck based off of a raw character, and then you get to tweak that character. You get to decide whether that character or that deck, if you will, has more power in it, has more powerful cards, or has faster cards in it, and that sort of thing. And it brings a lot of strategy to given archetypes. Like there's already, the archetypes are going to be laid out in front of us, but you get to choose what cards you want to put in them, and then the meta tells you whether or not you made a good call. The meta is basically, I know some people hate the idea of a meta, but the meta is something that's just going to form from all of us trying our different ideas, and then those ideas starting to rise to the top, which will go back and shift the ideas that we're making, and then we'll be in perpetual motion at that point, constantly shifting our decks, trying to stay on top of the meta, and that's where the fun of Magic really goes. So again, I was worried that Rakdos wasn't going to have true builds where they're just going to go, okay, well, you don't have any real synergy here in Rakdos, but you got a lot of cool cards, put them all on a deck and go have fun. Maybe that is the Chaos Mage type of play that you would want as a Rakdos player, but I'm more interested in seeing synergies pop up, and cards like Fireblade Artist assure me that we are going to have some type of Rakdos Aristocrats build. So I'm quite excited about this. Anyway, moving on, I probably said well more than I should have about the little 2-mana 2/2 there. All right, so we get Shark to Crab. Shark to Crab. It's a fish octopus crab with a 4-mana Adapt 1 ability on it. And whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on Shark to Crab, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during this controller's next untap step. So if you can put a +1/+1 counter on your Shark to Crab, then you can Frost Breath one of your opponent's creatures. Not bad. I don't think that this will get a ton of play, but yeah, it's another fish octopus crab for those decks. Yeah. You love Simic so much, Jareth? That's crazy. This ain't as good as Thought Sizzle. Probably not. What's the Poison Tip Archer? What's up with Poison Tip Archer? Okay. Crabs with shark toes? Well, it's like someone tried to build a Minotaur, right? But they were in water, so they're like, okay, we've got to have a top predator is the top of the beast there. Minotaur would normally be a human, all right? Top predator, and then so they went with a shark. But why would they pick Hammerhead? Like, was that just more aesthetically pleasing to have a Hammerhead instead of some great white shark up there? or were they afraid that it would just look like Jabberjaw if they made it, a great white? Uh, I don't know. Jabberjaw, anybody remember Jabberjaw? Oh, you really think that's going to be playable, Madness? So Madness keeps bringing us back to a big giant Leviathan that makes all non-octopus, non-Leviathan, if they are not creatures of the sea, they're going back in your hand. Um, maybe it will be playable. You like the Hammerhead, Jason? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Better senses on the Hammerhead. Okay, Hammerheads have better senses. Okay, I like where you guys are going with this. Hammerhead has eyes similar to a crab. Oh, yep, you're right, because they're out and they're extended. Nikia. That card's not good. What are you talking about, McFats? Do we really? No. Like, I'm sure there's a non-creature spell in this deck somewhere that I want to play. Deep Water Tribal. Hammerheads are the most deadly and accurate sharks in the sea. What? Okay. Like, don't they also have, like, the smallest mouths? I don't know. I'm probably going to dig myself a hole with a Hammerhead comment, but whatever. Let me know how wrong I am about this Hammerhead Shark to Crab in the comments. I look forward to it. I look forward to see what you guys got to say. Mirror March here. Now, this is the latest spoiler. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to flip a coin. And if you win the coin flip, you get to create a token that's a copy of that creature. That token's going to gain haste. You're going to get to do whatever you want to do with it. And then you got to exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, flip a coin flip a coin until you lose. Let's read this. There's got to be something more here. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, flip a coin until you lose a flip. For each flip you win, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So, this is 6 mana, but if you get to, at the beginning of your opponent's end step, flash in the angel, you could technically win 3 or 4 flips in a row and just win the game. You don't necessarily have to do it at the beginning of their end step, but if you do it at the beginning of their end step, those tokens will stick around through your turn because you exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So the beginning of that end step has already begun. You're doing it in their end step. Yeah, the tokens would stick around. You'd get a little bit more time with them. But is it really necessary? Only if you need to swing with the original creature that's coming in. So, anyway, did you miss anything good, Tier 1 Jank? No, not really. Coin flipping is bad. Next. Yeah, coin flipping's bad, but you do get to flip until you lose, right? And then you could make a whole bunch of tokens. Like, there's implications for this. Somebody's going to try it, right? Somebody's going to try it. It's a fun, janky card. And it's interesting that they put this out there. I wouldn't put this in my deck and play it instead of playing something like a Sunbird's Invocation. If I was going to make the decision that I was willing to cast a 6 mana do nothing enchantment, it wouldn't be this one. There's other really, really powerful 6 mana enchantments. Mirror Match into Craterhoof Jr., right, and lose your first step. They exist. Card just says a coin. Oh, Barry's got tricks, okay? Barry's got tricks. Alright, so Barry pointed out to us that on Amazon you can buy a 2-headed coin or a 2-tails coin. It just says flip a coin and you get to do it until you lose a flip. So heads, it'll always come heads. I'll never lose. And then you eventually just call tails so that you do lose and you can move on. But yeah, Rule states the two players must agree and must be binary. Fair enough, McFats. What about the extra turn wizard? There's an extra turn wizard. When did it get spoiled? Where's this extra turn wizard you speak of? Let's do a refresh here and see what happens. Uh-oh. We got Scabbling Claws. It's a 1 mana artifact. You can tap it, target player exiles a card from their graveyard, or you can pay 1, sacrifice it, exile target card from a graveyard, draw a card. Does this look familiar to you? Anyone seen this before? Like, you just tap it and they... Yeah, Relic of Progenitus? Anyone? Yeah. Oh, no, you mean, what if you use Mirror March with Time Stream Navigator? That's actually pretty good jank there, tier 1 jank. That seems good. How different is this from Relic of Progenitus? Oh, you cannot exile all cards from a graveyard. Period. There's where it's different. All right, I was like, man, this is Relic. This is Relic. But Relic, you can just pay 1 to dump the entire graveyard. Whereas this is, you would sacrifice it, exile target card from a graveyard to draw a card. Yeah, so you just don't get rid of the entire graveyard. But all in all, the card's pretty good. I mean, you get to pay 1 mana and you beat Search for Escanta. Like, you just flat out beat Search for Escanta. Every turn you make them get rid of something. Jenks, you're kind of forte. Yes, it is, tier 1. Yes, it is. It definitely, this card beats Search for Escanta all day. Beats most graveyard mechanics. If they're not putting more than 1 card into the graveyard at a given time, then you win. You keep their graveyards nice and empty. And then if you ever have to get rid of it, you get rid of the one thing you want to out of their graveyard, and you get to draw a card. So it's not bad. Not bad. Scrambling Claws. Pretty decent. All right. I don't think 12 minutes ago we had this just come out. I guess we're probably not getting another one. No, probably not. That's actually all I've got for you guys tonight, and it's probably going to be short for the remainder of the week. I've got a lot going on here. Stops Eldest Reborn target. Yeah, you just pay 1 mana and you get rid of the Eldest Reborn target at instant speed. So yes, it does do that. The claws. So I am just going to be doing streamers spoilers this week. I know a lot of you guys ask me about, are we going to be doing the pre-release event? There will be pre-release available on Magic Online or on Arena. I will do at least one sealed event with you guys. As far as sealed goes, I'm not really a big sealed guy. I am trying to get into it a little bit more, so I will put some effort forth, to studying, and I'm gonna go. I got a day in the doctor's office, and there's probably going to be plenty of time sitting in the waiting room that I'll be able to study a lot of this with. But we'll look at archetypes and stuff, and I'll try to put out something like that. I'm still working on getting a video out for you guys about building your mana bases, and again, it just always rolls back down to, when I try to get that video started, it's like, what do I really talk about? Like, how do I, tell someone this is how you would build this mana base or this mana base? And you really can't without knowing the context of the deck itself, whether you need those, fast cards or the slow cards, or you can handle not having so many shock lands, things like that. So there's a couple rules of thumb so that like I'm going to try to put together like 5 rules to adding cards to your deck or changing your deck and things like that. I know what rule 1 is. It's pretty much always been the same for me for adding new cards to the deck. When you're adding new cards to the no, it's not read the freaking card, but that's rule 1 to Magic. But as far as adding cards to your deck or changing your deck, it should always boil down to, do the rewards outweigh the risk? So for now, just always ask yourself that. When you're thinking about, I want to run Jun next set, I've got this Golgari deck, and I want to splash red in it. Why do you want to splash red? Do you need to splash red? What are the rewards for splashing red? And then start assessing the risk. But make sure you know exactly why you want to do something. Then assess the risk of that particular splash or change to your deck. And then, kind of decide, is this better or worse? If it is worse, and normally in most situations it will be worse to go from 1 color to 2 color, 2 color to 3 color. But a lot of times it will give you those answers you need. So if there are certain decks out there you can't answer without a different color, then there's going to be a high reward for splashing that additional color. Whereas, splashing an additional color in the mono blue deck, you're going to lose Tempest Gen, and that is a lot of risk when it comes to adding more colors. So as always, make sure your rewards outweigh the risk. I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I'm going to be trying to come up with the other 4 rules, to other 4 tidbits, if you will. So for right now, yeah, reward, you get to watch the world burn. For some people that is reward enough, right? But I highly value consistency. I not necessarily want to play the same deck every time, but or same game every time, but I do want to play. I wouldn't mind playing the same game every time as long as I was winning. Like, I know how this goes. I play this card and then I win, right? Play Niv Mizzet and then I untap and then I win. There you go. So I like consistency. So anything that breaks my consistency, I add that to my risk factor when looking at new cards to put in a deck. But like I said, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night with more spoilers, and hopefully, if all goes well, you'll have a video in midday tomorrow. Still got some subscriber decks I want to play at some point this week, but I just got too much going on right now. So yeah, 3-color decks will have a more consistent mana base than 2-color decks in the coming standard. Yes, I believe that to be true in our current situation. Not always been true in Magic altogether, but we have a really, really sweet mana base coming. So I'm looking forward to building with it. I am going to try to pull up some examples and just kind of overlook the fact that their risk and rewards. I'll try to have some decks pulled up, and I'll talk about why. Like, let's say I just wanted to play these cards, even though these are not cards you probably would want to play. How would I build a mana base for that? And if I already had a good solid 3-color deck and I wanted to splash a 4th color, man, there better be a good reason to splash a 4th color. But if I wanted to splash a 4th color, maybe it's just a splash so that I could cast the back half of a split card that I was using. Maybe I want to splash black in a Jeskai deck so that I can cast the back half of Dispersal or something like that. So we'll talk about that, and I hope to see you guys there. My name's Eric. You've been watching Sideboard MTG. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun. We'll see you next time.